Hello, this is me, Robert, Mr. Root, and I have a brand new video for you. This time is something special because I decided to make a special template for Cubase users. When I've noticed that there are plenty of templates and projects for Logic and Ableton because they are very popular. However, I'm also on Facebook groups that are dedicated for Cubase users, and I've noticed that there are plenty people that are new to Cubase and they want to learn. They don't know how to do sometimes even simple things. So I decided to make a whole house music project for you, and in this video I will explain step by step what I've done, and under the video there will be a link for you to download that for free. Remember to subscribe to my channel. And now let's go to the tutorial.
It's not a problem that I can't fix, because I can do it in the mix.
Okay, so this is the project, and first of all, I created this project completely in Cubase. So what it means that you can open that on every computer that is using Cubase at least 9.5 with only the plugins and the synthesizers that are native to Cubase. So again, the reason of this tutorial is to show you that you can absolutely use the stock typical stock plugins just from Cubase and get a really great results. But I decided to give you this template for free, because sometimes when you are just watching the tutorials, sometimes it's hard to get to recreate it yourself, especially if you are a beginner. However, if you will have this project that is available to download, over there is a link, remember, and you have this project, so then you can see exactly what I have done. And this project is using, again, only Cubase Steinberg synthesizers, only Cubase plugins, and as well as has a pretty simple mastering, also done with the Cubase plugins. First of all, let's listen to the drums. The drums, as you can see, are grouped in one group. So all the drum sounds are directed here into one group. That's the first part. And that's the second. This is the second part. So let's go step by step right now with the beat. What's happening here? Here you can see that I have used for this, I have used different instances, or many instances of Groove Agent SE. Why not one, but many? Let me explain. I've been browsing the standard Groove Agent 1 or Groove Agent SE5. I don't know why I'm always talking about Groove Agent 1. Anyway, and I was looking for a certain kick. And I found it in the Raga House kit. We can see it over here, Raga House kick. And that was my initial sound. However, if you are listening to this kick, how it was at the beginning, it sounds like this. Okay, this is the kick. That was my initial kick, but I didn't like that. So I heavy processed it. That is why it sounds like this. Okay, so the first thing what I've done was to equalize it. So I needed this sort of like click in this kick. So I boosted here from around 1.5 kilohertz, everything up, and then there were some boxiness here and some nasty clicking thing in the middle, and then I boosted here the real meat, the real woomph of the kick drum. So it sounds without my equalization like this, and with. So you can see it doesn't have this clucking sound, but also have this snappiness in there. Then I used, and again, I'm using only stock plugins. Then I used the standard compressor from Cubase. As you can see, the attack is pretty long, the release is very short, just to get this punch from the ratio is around 2:1, so nothing big. And if you listen, if you see, it just barely, the compressor barely reacts, just to have it nice and tight. And the last thing was a little bit of saturation. Now, if you are going to the snare, there you can hear that the initial sounds totally different from what I came up with. If you can see, it was from Funky Latin House Kit. So again, that is why I am using multiple instances of Groove Agent, just to because I was looking for different sound, and then I was able to manipulate each and every one with different set of plugins. Okay, so let's listen to the snare. This is the initial snare. And this is how it sounds after processing. Again, when we're looking at the channel strip, there is a little bit of tape saturation, a little bit of compression, also not that much. You can see the gain reduction is not that much. However, the whole trick is here with my plugins. First, what I've done, I used the Bit Crusher from Cubase. It's a standard bit crusher. This is without it, and this is with. Okay, so it already gave this crunchy sound. And then what I used equalizer. But why? Why I used the equalizer and why I'm using frequency rather than the standard channel strip equalizer? Because frequency, first of all, it's part of the Cubase package, and the other thing is it's here we have only 1, 2, 3, 4 bands. 6, 7. Here we have 8. And they can be pick, it can be shelf, it can be a notch, everything you want. Now, why I use this? First of all, as you can see, I high passed this, so this is big low cut here. And then if you look at this part here, you see here in this area between 10K and 20K, the bit crusher is creating these sort of like noise in this area, which is nice and cool. However, it will interact with my hi-hats and other higher frequencies. That is why I cut this area, just to get rid of it, because again that might interact with my hi-hats and everything else. Clap, we have also a clap. This is again a clap from Groove Agent SE5, this time from Electro Kit. So the initial sound was this. Yep. But with my processing, it's this. Okay? So there is a little bit more bottom end, and there is a little bit more sparkling thing into this this sound. Also, it's played 15 milliseconds earlier than the grid, especially than the snare. Why again? Look, if you are looking at the waveform, here you have this thing. It's perfect. Remember, if you remember my previous videos, I was telling you why to place clap before the snare, just a little bit, because you have this effect. So I did this as well. Okay. What is interesting as well, that I'm using a lot of panning. Many people, especially at the beginning, they are using a lot of stereo widening plugins. That sounds great. However, they must be used in very cautious way, because then you can have try to use them extensively, and then if you have this possibility on your sound interface, press the mono button, and then you see what happens. In many cases, the sounds that sounds great and wide in stereo, they disappear in mono. So that is why it's sometimes better to pan it left and right, and then you still get different sounds left and right, and then you still get the space. However, you don't have the phase issues. Okay. Now we have the same I used with the crash. I have two crash sounds. So okay, that's the crash. As you can see here. Oh wait, I haven't got to this part yet. So the crash, it's lowered in key, because normally it sounds like this. But I lowered that 3 semitones to sound like this. And now it's a funny part. There is a second crash that sounds like this. Okay. It's a short crash, and this is a natural crash. Well, it's not electronic, it's from this drum machine. Okay, so I wanted to use this crash. Problem is, it's long. But sometimes if you see the drummers that they hitting the crash or any other symbol, and they muting it with their fingers, right? So I wanted to recreate the same effect. So, and I did it with volume automation. So look here. This is this part, and as you can see, I automated the volume. That is why it sounds like this. Okay. And then we have the second crash. So altogether they sound like this. And if you can hear it, the one crash is on one side and the other crash is on the other side. Not like particularly extensively left and right, but just a little bit. So as the same as you have cymbals and placed on the real drum. So as you can see here on the screen, this is crash E is on the left, crash B or whatever is on the right. So it's also good to play with the panning as much as possible. Now, what else we have? We have the bassline. Oh, the bassline. We love basslines. Okay, simple. But I used two Retrolog, which is the analog emulation, Moog-like analog synthesizer. So pretty simple. What I have done, the initial sound was a little bit more open. There is this cut off, which is the filter. So if I could remember, it sounded like this. You see, more Moog-like, this sort of like gummy bass, boom, 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 right? But I just needed the low end from it. That is why I used the filter. Okay, so but there is a second bass. The second bass is also from the Retrolog, but again I did some processing. This is how the sound, what is the initial sound from the synthesizer. Okay, and this is the sound after my plugins. Okay, so what we have here. The first is a tube compressor. Okay, this is just a normal compression, just to level the sound. Then I used the bit crusher again. So listen to that without the bit crusher and with. You already hear this buzzing sound. Okay, great. Buzzing sounds are great. However, again, we have to work on it a little bit, because this buzzing sound will interact with my hi-hats. So I had to cut them here. And of course, I don't need this low information in this bass line. And the last but not least is the pumping compressor, is the sidechain compressor. So if you are listening to this, you have the pumping effect. On the bassline group, I have two extra plugins. One is the dual filter and one is the frequency and the dual filter. So frequency and the dual filter. What it does some arrangement magic. Listen to the bass like this, and you see here there is some automation. You see, this is the filter working. You see, that's how it works. So this automation switched on and switching off the filter, and this one is changing the position of the filter. Then, but there is also another automation here that is activating this equalizer. Why I use two? This makes no sense. Yes, it does. We have the break, we have the bridge, we have the breakdown, okay? And then it's starting to build. So it's going from the low frequency, and then opens with the filter, right? It slowly opens, right? However, I didn't want it. I didn't need it, the low end in this particular part of my arrangement. So I just cut it. Now we have the vocals. The vocals sound like this. I have 3 vocal tracks. I used some very ancient old a cappella. I don't remember where it's from. I just cut it to my what I thought it's gonna make sense and will be different from the original. So anyway, it sounds like this.
Up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance, get down. Up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance, get down. Up and down, everybody feel the sound. Feel the sound, 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 feel the sound.
So let me explain the vocal arrangement and the vocal processing step by step. First of all, the vocals. The vocals are they sound like this.
Up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance, get down. Up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance, get down.
Okay, this is the original sound. I used the de-esser, standard de-esser, just in case to remove those hard sibilants, as they are called. Then I used the bit crusher. The bit crusher sounds, the vocal without the beat crusher sounds like this.
Get down, up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance, get down.
With the beat crusher, it sounds a little bit different. Of course you can, but it's only just a fraction. Normally it would sound like this.
Up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance, get down.
Okay, but I just wanted a little bit of dirt. And that is why it's just like 30% or something. Then I used frequency again to boost the high end and to boost a little bit of the low end, but really cut down everything that is below 100 hertz. I don't need it.
Up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance, get down.
And this is without.
Up and down, everybody feel the sound.
Okay. The last one was a tube compressor. As you can see, I used the preset AM male vocal 2. I just gave a little bit of more drive and tweaked a little bit, and that was it. Okay. And the last but not least is the reverb. As you can hear, most possibly, the original vocal already had a reverb, but I cut it, so I had to add it again. So here we have a reverb that sounds like
up and down, everybody dance, get down. Up and down, everybody feel the sound.
Yep, as you can see, here we have a Revelation, that is a standard vocal, standard reverb for Cubase Very good. But then after that, there is a compressor. You might ask why a compressor on the FX track. It's a very, very cool trick. Many people are using it. Listen what's happening when the compressor is working together with the effect. The whole trick is to send the signal from vocal to the compressor that is on the FX track, and that sounds like this.
Dance, get down, up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance, get down, up and down, everybody feel the sound.
So, what it does when there is a voice singing or talking, right? We don't need the reverb. We want the reverb to come again after that. So the compressor is lowering the volume of the reverb when there is a voice and opening again with a little bit delay after. So then there is no interaction between the reverb and the voice. They are not going on one on another. I have another, this is another vocal track, which is called distorted delay. And it sounds like this without the processing. Okay, this is just cut it part. But with all my processing, it sounds like this. Okay, so what we have here. First of all, we have the equalizer. I cut everything low, everything from a low and high to create this sort of like old telephone effect. Then I used the amp simulator. Just a simple amp simulator. I found this preset voice over guitar box. Okay. Just to give it a little bit of distortion. Then I added a ping pong. So all together. See? It's a ping pong delay and tube compressor at the end. And now the last part is the vocal delay track. It's a really cool trick. It's a copy of this one. However, I added here a mono delay in 100% mix. So look very closely what is happening. I'm just playing this vocal delay track. See, this is the same part of the vocal. You see, nothing is happening here, but the reflections, the delays are from here, 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 here. So together with the vocal, the main vocal, it sounds like this.
Down, up and down, everybody feel the sound, 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 feel the sound.
So you see, and this trick helps to blend the main vocal and the distorted vocal. So listen together to all three tracks.
Get down, up and down, everybody feel the sound, 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 feel the sound.
You see, it gradually coming from the high, sort of like partially high quality delays into the distorted ones. Okay, the last part is the mastering chain. Listen to the music without mastering. It sounds like this.
Up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance, get down. Up and down, everybody feel the sound.
And
dance, get down. Up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance.
Okay, so what we have here, step by step. The first was frequency. Again, we don't need anything, no information below 40, 30 hertz. So that is why it is cut. Then there was some boxiness indeed in the area around 400 hertz. So it was cutted. I boosted some low end, so the kick and the bass line will be more significant. I boosted everything above 1 kilohertz, 1.5 kilohertz, 2 kilohertz up. And then I just cutted some of the too loud harshness of the hi-hats. And that was it. So without it, it sounds like this. You automatically hear that it's opening up, okay? It's not that dull. Just with simple adding low end, high end, cutting the really, really low, and emphasizing some of the frequencies that are important because there is a vocal, or there is a synthesizer you like, or there is a snare that is important for you. Then there was a cube compressor. Cube compressor just to glue everything. But I used that more in a parallel mix, in a parallel way, because it's mixing just 50% of the signal. But it gives this character, it glues everything together without losing the transients and the dynamics. The next one was the tape saturation plugin. By pressing the solo button, you are actually able to listen what kind of information has been or have been added into the signal by using this. So I press the solo button, and now this is what you're hearing right now, is what the plugin added, what kind of information was added into the main signal. So this is pretty cool. Then typical maximizer from Cubase. However, first of all, I'm not a very big fan of maximizers. However, the limiter, the Cubase limiter, Steinberg limiter, is also not the best one out there. So you really have to, if you want the loudness and modern sound, you really have to play a little bit with them. And again, you don't apply it on 100% on the signal, because then it will destroy your sound. So again, here is a 50%. There is master bus dynamics preset that I started with, and then I played a little bit with the optimization and the mix. So without it, it sounds like this.
Up and down, everybody feel the sound. Dance, get down. Up and down, everybody feel the sound.
It's not that much louder, but it's again, it gives a little bit more excitement. The last is the limiter, just to make everything loud.
Dance, get down. Up and down, everybody dance.
That's without. And this is... Okay, so this is the project. And here, this is the basic arrangement. You can, again, play whatever. You can play with it. You can change it. It's a nice tune, and you can analyze it step by step just by opening it and play with it and see what I have done. If you want more, just let me know. If you want more that kind of templates or projects for you to play with, Or maybe you saying like, oh, it's just Cubase and many people are using, let's say, Logic. Okay, I can use Logic. I know Logic. So maybe if you say, oh, it's interesting, but I want that for Logic, then I can do it. Not a very big fan of the Ableton, with all due respect. So I don't think I will do it, maybe. But definitely there is a niche for the Cubase users, because they are abandoned pretty much when it comes to this area, and I want to fill the gap. So thank you very much again for watching. Remember to subscribe. I will not be able to continue these videos, all my work, without subscribers. So if you will download the template, and you watch this video, please hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, it makes no sense, right? I just need more subscribers. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it. Again, check out the links and see you in another video. Bye.